Hello everyone! I apologize for not doing a video last week, but I ran into a lot of technical difficulties. I wasn't feeling very well. I actually had to go to the doctors, and got hit with a lot of weather problems this week. What with we're getting hit with Hurricane Irene, which that should be fun. And we had an earthquake over here in DC, which was kind of shocking, not gonna lie. It wasn't that big of an earthquake, but just the fact that we got one was pretty shocking. But I guess it's kind of like having sex the first time. It may not have been that spectacular, but at the end of the day, you're better off having the experience. So I can cross, survived an earthquake off my bucket list, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I got a lot of news and notes to talk about this week. I know I said 2 weeks ago that I was gonna do a question and answer video in 2 weeks. But because I didn't get to do a video last week, I just said, you know what, fuck it, I'll just push off the question and answer video another week. So, if you want to send me questions for the question and answer, just PM me over here on my YouTube account, label the message Q&A, so I know what it is, and I will do those next week. Like I said, I prefer that they be wrestling-related questions, but if you want to ask me non-wrestling-related questions, and I have time, I will answer them. As long as they're not offensive or overly, I don't know, what would offend people? I guess nothing like overly political or religious. I guess would be okay. I wouldn't make anybody mad. But yeah, a lot of news and notes from both WWE and TNA in the last couple of weeks. I did want to talk about SummerSlam. I didn't see it, so I'm not going to grade it or anything. But I do want to talk about the fallout and everything, namely Alberto Del Rio as WWE Champion. And I knew I was going to be making this video at some point, whether it be, once he won the Rumble, I knew it was like, okay, at some point in the future, I'm going to have to make this video. It's just coming. And you've all heard me talk about it before, but I just have no faith in Alberto Del Rio as a character. I've never insulted him as an in-ring talent, and you probably will never hear me insult him as an in-ring talent. But as a character, I just don't think it's anything that special. I said he was like if they had Tito Santana try to play JBL, but that's kind of an insult to Tito Santana. I think it's like watching Adam Sandler do a parody of a Mexican and have that Mexican try to play JBL. And that's what it feels like to me. And he's really Mexican. But, his whole shtick is basically, I'm rich and I'm not American, so boo me. And there's nothing meaty about it, nothing cutting edge or new or different about it. It's just kind of the same old tripe, same old one-dimensional stuff that we've been given many, many times before in the past, and I just don't like the character. If they wanted to pick a heel champion to be the guy that management backs over Punk and Cena, I would have picked Miz. And that would have made sense to me since he's the guy going around making all these appearances on talk shows and everything. I think Miz's character would have been a better fit. But, again, that's just me. As for how SummerSlam played out, obviously I have to talk about Kevin Nash showing up, which I'm not upset over Punk not walking away with the title, because like I said, and like I've said before, you don't have to be the champion to be the top guy on the show. Punk is still the top guy on the show, and his angle is still the best angle in wrestling right now. He's still the main focus of the show, whether he's got the title or not. Hopefully it stays that way because, I've said it a million times, I think he's the guy that's given a spark to the WWE, and I think he's the guy that needs to be the main storyline focus, whatever they do with him. Right now, again, going back to Del Rio, I'm not happy that the world title picture is basically turned right back into Cena versus the bad guy, because I got bored with that in 2007. But we'll see how it all plays out. But a Nash-Punk feud, I do like the idea of feuding Punk and Triple H and putting them at odds with each other. Bringing in Nash makes sense, given his history with Triple H. But because of who it is, and because I followed Nash's career, and I know what happens whenever he's put in these situations, I'm a little worried. Number one, the dude's 100 years old. Okay, he's 50-something, but still, he's one of those old guys that just won't go away. And I hope that he doesn't get put over Punk or anything like that. Or I have no desire to really see him wrestle, but he's gonna have to face Punk at some point, given what they've done here. So I don't know. I'm just kind of on the fence about it. And then the whole who sent the text thing. This kind of feels like a TNA angle almost. Really, they never cleared up who the Raw GM was, which I don't think anybody really cares, but whatever. Is this going to become like overly convoluted and confusing? I don't know. Right now, it seems obvious that it's Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, but because it's obvious that we expect a swerve, it's not going to be him at all. But we shall see. Again, I still think whatever they're doing with Punk is the best thing going in wrestling right now. However you feel about that, I'll leave that up to you. But I just hope they're able to keep the angle going in a really interesting direction and hopefully keep pushing Punk to the forefront because he's, like I said, he's the guy that they need to go with. So that's kind of the main event stuff for the WWE right now. SmackDown, I just don't give a shit. They have a live show next week. I might watch it just because it's not on Fridays. And, one of the main reasons I tend to not bother with SmackDown is because it's on Fridays. And I've got other things to do, namely watch Thundercats with friends and then go to a bar and talk about Thundercats and do whatever the hell we do at the bar. But, yeah, a couple other things that happened on Raw. I do want to talk about Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne winning the tag titles and how big of a deal people seem to be making about it. And how some people are thinking that this is going to lead to like a tag team renaissance in the WWE. And I will concede that with Triple H gaining more power within the company, I do think there is a better chance for tag team wrestling to be focused on. But I don't see why. I'm not sure how Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne are like the indicator that that's going to happen. Granted, they're better than not Nexus or whatever the fuck that team was. But I mean, look at what they did here. They took a team, two guys that they have no plan for, threw them in a tag team. They win 2 matches, and all of a sudden they're tag team champions. How is that any different from the shit that they've done before? They do this a lot. They throw 2 singles guys. Kofi Kingston and CM Punk were tag team champions at one point. Does anybody remember that? No. And they tried to make it seem like it was a really big deal, but it's like, look, they're a brand new team. I'm not even used to seeing them team together, and now I'm supposed to buy them as the top tag team of the company. If this is going to be the start of a tag team renaissance, they need to do a lot more besides just putting the belts on 2 random singles guys to make me believe that that's going to happen. And, if the rumors are true that they're going to do a tag team renaissance, great, but I'll believe it when I see it. I've given up hope that they're ever going to put any emphasis on the tag team division ever again. Even if they brought in the Kings of Wrestling, which they've been talking about for months. Even if that happened and they put them in the tag division, I would still be worried because it's like, look, I know what they've done with tag teams. This is the same company that had Haas and Benjamin on the roster and broke them up way too soon and didn't know what to do with them. You know what I mean? They had Eminem too. Eminem had nobody to work with. For a while it worked in the short term because it was like, oh, we'll just have them work with main eventers tagging with each other. But at the end of the day, they had no real tag teams to work with, and I think that hurt them in the long run because you couldn't get a whole lot out of them. That and the fact that Joey Mercury has problems, but yeah. Tag team renaissance, I welcome it, but I'm not excited for it yet. We'll see how everything goes. And so there's that. And I did want to talk about something that really stuck out to me while watching Raw this week, but it's a problem with all the shows, quite honestly. The commentary is awful. I have to say that. Taz and Tenay in TNA are dreadful, but they're still better than King and or King and Cole over on Raw, who bicker with each other for 2 hours, and it's annoying. Jerry Lawler, I'll say this, he's worse than Michael Cole. He is. Some of the shit he was saying during the Punk Cena match on Raw this week was just downright like, dude, there's being a babyface and there's just being stupid, and you are beyond stupid. Some of the things he was saying. Oh, I think Del Rio wants to face Punk because he'd be easier to beat than Cena, even though Punk beat Cena twice, so what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, the dumb things that he says. And Cole and Lawler get to a point where they're just so annoying they drown out JR, which is sad. And then over on SmackDown, you got Cole, yippee, he's on 2 shows, and Booker T, who are absolutely atrocious, and they drown out whoever the poor soul is that stuck with them. I don't even know the name of the other guy. But yeah, it is just painful to listen to. The best commentators right now are JR, and he gets drowned out, and that's sad. Whenever he is able to be himself and talk, it sounds really good because he's JR. And the second best, I'd have to say, is probably Matt Morgan on TNA. Whenever he's analyzing the Bound for Glory series matches, he's actually not bad, at least compared to TNA and Taz. And they just babble on about mindless shit for, listening to them do commentary for Impact is just awful. But, yeah, the commentary in all the shows is beyond unlistenable, and when it gets to a point where I want to mute the television while watching it, we've got problems, and they really need to. Some of these guys have been doing this forever. King, Tenay, Taz, Cole, you've been doing this shit forever. You should know how to do this by now. And there's got to be better options out there than these guys, because the current crop we're getting is just awful, just awful. But yeah, there's that. Now moving into more TNA news. I have to talk about Matt Hardy, who was released from TNA, given his recent DUI, or DWI, I don't know what it was exactly. But, yeah, I mean, it's sad to see what happened to him. Matt Hardy was a guy, when the Hardy Boys were in the WWF, I thought, Matt Hardy will never be a world champion because he doesn't have Jeff's charisma. And I thought Jeff Hardy will never be a world champion because he doesn't have Matt's sense. Because it seemed like Matt never got himself into trouble. Up until the whole Edge and Lita thing broke out, and that was understandable because, maybe he didn't handle it as well as he could have, but, you go through shit like that, it does something to your, brain, at least in the short term. But lately, Matt Hardy is like, dude, you are fucking crazy, and you're just as messed up as Jeff. It's unbelievable. And it's sad. I hope that Matt and Jeff are able to get their lives in order and move past whatever it is that's ruining their lives right now. But I think the best thing for them is to stay away from the wrestling business. And speaking of that, TNA brought Jeff Hardy back. Why? Seriously, have you not learned? You let go Matt Hardy. It's like, okay, get rid of the guy who's causing problems, but then you just turn right around and bring back Jeff, who caused even bigger problems and embarrassed your whole company on pay-per-view, in a pay-per-view main event. It's like you didn't learn from Scott Hall. You brought him back like 5 or 6 times. And Hardy, this will be the 3rd time he's been brought back. I cannot believe that after what happened at Victory Road that you would bring him back. It's just unbelievable. He's going to fuck up again. I'm telling you that right now. Maybe it's like, oh, well, he deserves a second chance. He's had like 12 chances. WWE, he was going to get that 3rd strike sooner or later. He was a guy who had like 2.5 and 3/4 strikes. He was going to get that 3rd strike at some point because he's just a perennial fuck-up. And I'm just telling you, if Hardy fucks you over again, when he fucks you over again, don't be shocked, and you got nobody to blame but yourselves because that's who you keep bringing back and that's who you keep showing your faith in. It's just absolutely fucking crazy. And speaking of guys that they constantly show faith in, Sting, Flair, and Hogan are one of your main angles, and we're going to get Sting and Hogan at Bound for Glory. I talked about this last week. Flair's back now. He looks absolutely terrible. He's Mr. Burns. That's what he looks like. He doesn't look like the Nature Boy anymore. And Hogan's a cripple. I have no desire to see any of those guys wrestle again. Sting maybe is a special appearance guy. He could probably get away with being a special appearance guy, but Hogan, no, you're done. I'm sorry, man. Flair, no, I don't want you to die in the ring, please. He looks like he's about 2 notches away from having a heart attack. I don't want to see it. Just the only good thing I can say about them doing an angle with those 3 is that thank God the world title isn't involved. That's the only good thing I can say. At least we dodged that bullet. Hogan's not going to be world champion, and Sting's not world champion anymore. So, yippee, thank God. But, my God, it's just unbelievable the things that they keep doing. And the last thing I want to talk about TNA related is the Bound for Glory series, and to admit that I was wrong. Crimson looks like he is not going to win the Bound for Glory series. Instead, it's going to be either Robert Roode, James Storm, Gunner, or Bully Ray. I knew Bully Ray would be in there because they needed a heel in there, and he's the top heel out of the 12, so, there you go. That's him. Gunner, please, dear God, don't. no, it's not going to work. Sorry, move on. And they turned Kurt Angle. I sound like William Regal there. But they turned Angle heel, so I doubt that they're going to have him go up against a heel at Bound for Glory. But then again, you never know. But, and I don't think it's going to be Storm, because if they're going to pick one of the beer money guys, I think they're going to go with Rude, because I think there's more of an upside to him. And I would be fine with Rude getting the main event spot at Bound for Glory if they built him up to that. I think he's a great talent with a lot of upside. I've been singing Rude's praises for years. I do like that Beer Money's kind of being rewarded, because I've been calling him the hottest act in TNA probably since they formed. So, it's nice that they're kind of getting rewarded, at least in some capacity. And yeah, so Rude's probably going to win the Bound for Glory series. I wouldn't have had a problem with that, except, number one, the Angle heel turn makes no sense. So, that's a major problem with doing that match. And number two, they didn't really build Rude up properly throughout the series to make me believe that he was going to be one of the guys. When I look back on what they've done with the Bound for Glory series, who they gave storylines to, Devon got a resurgence, and then there was the whole thing with him and the Pope, and that's carried out throughout the entire series. Samoa Joe's losing streak carried out throughout the entire series, and now he's attacking everybody within the series because he's pissed off they didn't win. Crimson had an undefeated streak that carried him out throughout the whole series. Rob Van Dam started off really strong, and now he's suffering because Jerry Lynn's kind of screwing him over. So that's a storyline they've had going. Gunner came out of nowhere, and he's been winning left and right. And he was one of the higher-ups in the series. And so he's kind of been like the surprise win of the thing. Rude and Storm they did rack up a lot of points, and they did start off with the storyline with Rude's injury, but then it kind of tapered off. But yeah, they racked up a lot of points, but there was no storyline to it. They did so very quietly, to the point that I didn't even realize how high ranked they were until about last week. So I wish they had, when Rude did the thing where he injured Flair, and he went on the mic and he ran down Hogan, I wish they had let him be that guy for a longer period of time, and let him cut more promos talking about how he's sick of being in the shadow of the legends, and how he wants to, it's his time now, and how he wants to dethrone the most credible legend currently on the TNA roster, Kurt Angle, and that could have led to that. But they didn't really give him a strong storyline throughout the Bound for Glory series, so I'm a little surprised that they ultimately seem like they're going to give him the win, because it seems like he's going to be the guy. But again, last week I said I was certain it was going to be Crimson, so who knows? I'm not that smart. But yeah, I just wish they had given Beer Money more of a story. Or even just let them compete with each other and let that be a story to run through the entire series, where it's like, and give them a match towards the end of the series to kind of just give them something to do storyline-wise as they build up through Bound for Glory. But they didn't really do that, and I'm a little disappointed in that. But I will say that at least Rude's getting something he deserves. And this is definitely better than Angle versus Crimson, so I'll give them some kind of little bit of credit there. But, that's kind of the state of things right now. Like I said, next week will be my Q&A video. Go ahead and send private messages to me, YouTube, label them Q&A so I know what you're talking about. If you already send questions, don't worry about it. I still have them. And I will see you all next week. Hopefully I survived the hurricane. I already survived an earthquake, so hooray. Good for me. So I like my chances. So yeah, that's it for now. Enjoy your weekend. If you live on the East Coast, good luck with Hurricane Irene, especially if you're in New York. I heard they evacuated New York. First mandatory evacuation in the history of the city, which is kind of hardcore. But yeah, that's all I got for now. So later, everybody.